has been expecting you.
I know, Father.
So, you have accepted the truth.
I have accepted the truth that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father.
That name no longer has any meaning for me.
Welcome back to the dark side, everyone on YouTube. Darth Vader's coming back at you with another video today, and today we're going to be reacting to more scary animated horror stories. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right.
One day, while I was eating dinner at home, I heard a knock on the door. When I went outside, I saw a middle-aged woman holding...
Frick, why are the captions so small? They're auto-generated. Can I adjust the size of them? Font size. 75? 100%? That works.
a small doll. There was something creepy about that doll. Its hair was a few short strands. Its face was frowning and grotesque. And its
That
skin
certainly
was
looks like
realistic
frowning.
as a real person's skin. The lady looked at me and she screamed, "Give me something to eat! Anything!" I'm a vegetarian.
What the fuck was that? I don't know what the fuck that was, but...
And so the only thing I can give you is bread. Would you like that too? She nodded her head, and I brought her the bread. Then she snatched the bread and stuffed it into the mouth of the doll she was holding. The doll's mouth was quite large and seemed to have a lot of space inside. It was as if the bread was being sucked into it. I looked at her with a confused expression, and she said, "She eats everything. She'll probably eat your face off, too."
Bitch!
Then she put her ear to her doll's...
What the fuck is this? Some kind of Annabelle shit? Some kind of fucking Chucky shit? Nah, I would fucking tolerate Chucky.
And after a moment, she suddenly said, "She wants meat. She says the bread is not delicious."
I don't know what the fuck you want me to do. I ain't got no meat in my fucking house, motherfucker.
I was horrified and just closed the door. She shouted from outside the door, "Babies need to eat protein to grow taller."
Okay, and go fucking bug somebody else.
And when I looked out the window, she was standing at my front door, holding her doll. The doll looked different. It appeared to have grown in size, and its hair had grown longer. The frown was less prominent than before, but it was still a creepy face. I was unsure whether it was the same doll as before or a different doll, and I wanted to look at it more closely. I opened the door and handed her a sandwich. She fed the sandwich to her dog.
Yeah, that was a fucking sandwich. Apparently fucking hot dogs are fucking sandwiches now. Fuck.
Looked closely at the doll. Teeth that weren't there before had grown, and it looked as if the doll was chewing the sandwich. I thought to myself,
fucking hot dog, motherfucker.
Is this a doll designed to have jaws that move automatically? Is it just my imagination? I felt an inexplicable, unpleasant feeling rush over me, and I closed the door.
Well, all right.
The president of the company that made that doll must have been controlled by an evil spirit, I muttered to myself.
Right, like a motherfucker would make a doll like that.
She continued to feed the doll outside the house. From that day on, she kept coming to my house, but I stopped answering the door because looking at that doll gave me goosebumps all day. After a few days, I was used to ignoring her knocks. Then, one night, I woke up.
If you want to be extra sure, close the fucking curtains and plug in some earbuds and you're good.
Startled when I heard the child's angry voice outside the front door. I checked the time. It was 3 a.m.
Oh,
I was
fuck.
irritated. I carefully looked out the window. In the darkness, I saw the woman standing, holding the hand of a doll that was bigger than before. This time, the doll was standing on the ground. The doll's face had a severe frown. The woman knocked on the door and screamed, "My child wants to eat soup with meat right now!" Then she tried to open the window of my house. Damn, I'm a vegetarian!
Damn, I'm a bit. Fuck.
I was so angry that I screamed at her, and then she disappeared. The next day, as I was passing through the neighborhood, I noticed a police line had been placed on my neighbor's house. I asked a local resident standing there what was going on, and what he said was shocking.
You know the woman who carries a doll and begs every day?
Yeah.
She killed the man who lived in this house. However, the method of murder was a bit bizarre. The man's stomach was cut open with the doll's fingernails. The police said the doll's fingernails were sharp as knives. What's even more shocking is that she made soup with the flesh of the man's corpse. When the police asked why she did such a thing, she said that her baby's favorite food was human soup.
He pointed to the doll that was lying at the scene as he explained.
The doll was so heavy that when the police cut open its stomach, they found a bunch of soup inside. However, they said there were things inside the doll's stomach that looked like intestines, and they were as realistic as real intestines. The police said they couldn't figure out where the doll was made. They said they had never seen such a doll in their lives, and that it was made of an unknown material other than plastic.
I froze on the spot. I looked at the doll. It was...
What the fuck is this? Some sort of child's play shit? Because the only way that would be possible is if like a human soul was trapped in the doll. If anyone's seen Child's Play, you would know what I'm talking about.
It's bigger than when it came to my house the night before. Its hair was long and thick. Its teeth and fingernails were like blades, and it had a faint smile on its face.
Sure, that's fucking
I
faint.
returned home, and for several days I had terrible nightmares about the doll eating my flesh. I later learned the woman...
If I were a police officer, I would have shot the doll in the face just for the fuck of it.
story. She was homeless at the time, and someone had left the doll next to her, so she carried it around with her, thinking it was her baby. People thought she was crazy, but no one has figured out who made the doll, who gave it to her, or how it grew.
Which, maybe. That's all I can think of. All right, well, that was fucking bizarre as a motherfucker. I don't know what I was expecting from that, but that wasn't it. Okay. Let's figure out our next video. True scary workplace story animated. We've all had those experiences.
This true scary workplace story occurred in the autumn of 2012 in Glasgow, Scotland.
Okay.
The light was fading as it was the evening, and there was a chill in the air.
Mm-hmm.
My two friends, let's call them Neelam and Aisha, worked in a beauty salon in the West End area of the city, and were just closing up for the evening, when a group of 3 men wearing ski masks came in carrying blue shopping bags. The men were screaming and asking where the owner of the salon was, to which they both replied that they didn't know. Although both of the girls were scared, they thought the men seemed fairly amateurish. Then
Doesn't matter.
suddenly they pulled out hammers and silver duct tape. The men then marched Neelam and Aisha to the back area of the salon, where they wrapped their hands and
I'm sorry, but does the color of the duct tape really fucking matter?
mouths with the duct tape. They then debated on what to do next. Wait for the owner or leave. Thankfully, they decided on the latter, but not before they smashed the cash register and some mirrors with their hammers. Surprisingly, the men didn't
Hammer time.
actually steal anything. They then left the salon and left Neelam and Aisha taped up and gagged out back. The girls struggled for quite a while to free themselves from the tape, but they eventually managed to use a pair of hairdressing scissors to free their hands and remove the duct tape from their mouths.
How the fuck did they do that?
The whole incident only realistically lasted for about 20 minutes, although for them it felt much, much longer.
Yeah, but...
Thankfully, the girls were not hurt. However, they were both very shaken up for a long time after this.
Who wouldn't
The
be?
men were never caught as far as they were aware. Both of my friends quit the salon immediately following this,
I would too.
and they never found out what those men wanted with the owner. And they're grateful she wasn't there, as if she had been, things might have been much, much worse.
Well, that was certainly interesting, so to speak. Scarecrow horror story. All right, motherfucker, let's check it out. Turn the captions on before I full screen this time.
One day, my friend Lucas came running into class and breathlessly said,
"Hey, did you hear the news? A few days ago, a man in the neighborhood called the police, but he didn't say anything. So the police went to his house and found him lying in the bathroom with his head cut off and a cell phone in his hand."
"Really? If that's true,
Holy fuck!
super scary," I said in shock.
It's super scary. That's all you gotta say? Motherfucker missing his head? Okay.
What's scarier was that they couldn't find the head. But that night, another person saw someone dressed like a scarecrow running around holding a trident with something round stuck on it.
Do y'all even know what a motherfucking trident looks like? That was a pitchfork, motherfucker. God damn.
At first, she thought it was a pumpkin or something, but now she thinks it was a human head.
Wow, that's terrifying. It's not even Halloween.
It don't fucking matter, dude. It ain't gotta be Halloween for that shit. And the fact that he was the only motherfucker speaking up and nobody else in the fucking classroom.
Who on earth would do that?
Let's be careful now. If the killer
Exactly, a fucking killer, a psychopath.
shows up, show your ugly face. Then he'll go find another head.
Dude, how can you make jokes in situations like these?
It's
What?
no joke.
As stupid teenagers, we tried to pretend that nothing was wrong, even though we were scared. That night, while I was sleeping, I heard a crow cawing from the window. I mumbled in my sleep, annoyed. "Crow, you better shut up before I break your neck."
Boy,
After a
what?
while, I heard someone whispering very softly, "Maybe you should watch your own neck." I was startled, and I looked out the window to see a man standing there. He was wearing a big hat like a scarecrow, and his face was a bizarre mask made of gunny sacks. He was cawing like a crow. I was so shocked that I screamed until my uvula popped out of my mouth. And at that
What?
moment, he opened the window and let himself in.
Bitch, why wasn't it locked before?
"I have to slit your throat to shut you up." I threw the blanket at him, jumped out of bed, and ran out of the room faster than Usain
Ain't no fucking way in hell you jump like that, motherfucker.
Bolt. He tore at the
Ain't no way in hell you fucking got out that room faster than that man.
blanket with his trident and chased after me. I ran and
Alright, that's a fucking trident, not a fucking pitchfork. I'll go fuck myself then.
screamed until the house rattled. This quite obviously startled my father, who came running out of his room, and I started
Who the... What the fuck, bro?
crying and screaming, "Kill the scarecrow, Dad!"
I'm a little bitch to do it myself.
With the gun out and ready. And the man jumped out of the window
Yeet!
and ran away. The next day, as soon as I left school, I went to see Lucas, grabbed him by the collar and said, "You were kidding yesterday, right? You owe me a new blanket."
What are you talking about?
Bitch.
His face was a mask of total confusion. However, when I looked at Lucas's scrawny body and thin forearms, he was clearly not the man who had been swinging a huge trident single-handed last night. I was in a huge panic. Then Lucas actually had the stones to make fun of me.
You're such a baby. If a guy like that breaks...
Who the fuck says this guy had the stones to make fun of me? Is that your way of saying that this guy has the balls to make fun of me? It just sounds retarded as
to your
fuck.
house, you just poke him in the eye with your finger, kick him in the balls, and hit him between the eyes 3 times in a row, and it's over. If I...
Why don't you do that your damn self, jackass?
Poor you. He would be lying in the operating room by now. Pity.
Lucas was punching the air in his imagined fervor, but I couldn't say anything. A few days after that, Lucas didn't show up for school.
Yeah,
Then
dumbass.
I heard something shocking from my teacher.
He's dead.
Lucas had been murdered during the night. He was found with his head cut off, and his fists had holes from spear punctures. But his head was nowhere to be found. The neighborhood was turned upside down, and the entire police force stood guard day and night, maintaining high alert. Then one day, a police officer was found handcuffed in a police car with his head cut off.
What the fuck?
This time, there was a video from the car's dash cam. However, the culprit wasn't in the video. At first, all that could be heard was the sound of two people struggling. But then the police officer spoke up. If you're going to cut off my head, do it one go, so it doesn't hurt. You should really let me go. I won't tell anyone I saw you. After that, a dull sound and a scream blasted out, and a moment later, the back of the perpetrator running away giddily, with the police officer's head stuck on his trident. The police did their best to catch the criminal, but to no avail. There were, however, plenty of rumors circulating. Some people said they saw the criminal's face. Some said they knew who the criminal was.
My ass.
And some even said they were the criminal. But it was all lies. After the police officer's death, the killer was never heard from again. But since then, people in the neighborhood still sleep armed. I still have doubts. Who was the culprit? Why did he take those heads? And what did he do with them?
You don't want to know. Although I'm kind of curious if there's any kind of truth to that, honestly. Haunted Hotel. This will be our last video for the day, guys.
This is a story from my foolish early 20s. At that time, I was really into ghost hunting. I had a best friend named Joshua, and we always went to supposedly haunted places. Then one day, we decided to visit a hotel that was famous for being haunted. There was nothing special about the hotel, other than the fact that it was a slightly old-looking building.
Okay.
It had eerie music playing in the lobby. We entered the haunted room while singing a song that was supposed to summon ghosts. I was reading an article about the place on my cell phone, posted on a ghost hunting community.
They say there are 3 rules that must be followed in room 704. First, never allow food smells to be present in the room. Second, always wear clothes in the room. Third, never leave the closet in the living room open for more than 1 minute.
Then Joshua asked,
What happens if you don't follow those rules? It says your intestines will be pulled out.
What? Of all things for a fucking spirit to do, why go for the intestines?
By who? Is there a horrible monster hiding in here?
Do you want to answer that
closet
question?
door in the living room. It was empty but had a foul smell. Plugging his nose, he said.
Someone must have pooped here before.
Then as he closed the closet door, he continued.
Oh, I'm hungry. Let's have some food and start hunting ghosts.
Dog.
He called room service on the phone. However, the staff said that room service was not available for this room. He got angry and complained to the staff, who eventually offered to bring him food. But the staff told him that he had to finish eating within 10 minutes and put the dishes out in the hallway. Soon our steaks and hamburgers arrived, and we started to chow down while looking for traces of the ghost. While we were using the electromagnetic wave meter, the closet door suddenly burst open.
Uh-oh.
We looked at the closet in shock, and at that moment we saw something that would haunt us forever.
What?
It was a strange creature that looked like the heads and arms of about 7 people stuck together. It had no legs, and the many heads and arms all moved separately in a grotesque manner. The forearms and head were extremely large, and the faces were as pale and expressionless as corpses. It crawled to our food and started eating the leftover steak. I tried to film it with my camera, but the camera couldn't capture it. The being ate in an instant and went back into the closet and closed the door. When I saw it, I was filled with fear, and I said to Joshua,
I have to get home before that monster gets hungry again.
Then he
What the
said,
fuck was
What are
that?
you talking about? You can't just leave after seeing something sexy like that.
I'm sorry, but excuse the fuck you? What? Huh?
Then he ran and pounded on the closet,
Oh,
shouting.
don't do that.
Hey, monster, try this too.
He threw off his t-shirt and patted his bulging stomach.
Do you want to try human meat too?
Motherfucker.
Look at this plump skin.
He opened the closet door, but it was empty. I chuckled at
Dog, this is your fucking own funeral right here, man.
him, but the flame of fear was still burning in his chest. We watched TV, hunted around a bit, and soon fell asleep.
Oh, fuck, dude,
After a
nah.
while, I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of a scream. And when I looked in the direction of the sound, I saw the huge being I had seen earlier, sitting on top of Joshua, pinning his arms and legs down while sniffing his stomach. Then his numerous hands began tearing at Joshua's stomach.
Whoa!
I wondered if I was dreaming, but Joshua's loud screams pierced my ears.
Ah! I'll give you something else. Please stop.
It wasn't a dream. I screamed.
Joshua!
I kicked at that huge thing as hard as I could, but it didn't budge and
Nah,
moved my
man.
leg. Then it squirmed its heads around in an attempt to bite my stomach. I barely escaped by kicking at the heads like crazy. My legs were shaking so hard that I fell to the floor. The being looked at me and started eating Joshua's intestines. Joshua mumbled breathlessly.
Louis, I should have just gone home.
I called the hotel lobby and, out of breath, spoke to the staff.
Now, in the room, my friend is being eaten.
The employee asked me what I was talking about. I shouted.
Quickly, grab a knife, a gun, or anything, and get up here.
I hung up and ran back to Joshua. The giant being laughed gleefully as it chewed his intestines. I took out the Bible from the drawer and recited some verses out loud, but the being did not respond.
Nah, man. Nah.
There was nothing I could do. I cried out in despair and fear. Right then, a hotel employee knocked, and as soon as he came inside and saw the gruesome scene, he vomited. The gigantic being had already disappeared. Blood stains stretched from the bed to the closet. The employee immediately reported it to the police. When the police arrived, they were distressed to find Joshua's intestines missing without a trace.
You don't say.
Officers just stood there dumbfounded and kept repeating that this couldn't be happening. A few days later, I went back to the hotel room to see
Why?
the manager, who yelled at me.
Your friend called it. It doesn't eat human meat.
I shouted at him.
You already knew what could happen?
Then he sighed and said,
As long as we fed them animal intestines once a day, there were no problems. That room is the most expensive room, so it would be a waste to leave it empty. But you provoked them.
I told him.
Okay, it must be hard for you to keep feeding that bastard, but I'll take this opportunity to get rid of it for you. So just wait a minute.
I went back angry, and for the next 6 months I trained, learning deadly martial arts. Then I went back to the hotel room to avenge Joshua.
Dog, you are tying your own noose like your dumbass friend.
To tear that monster apart. I packed up a bunch of sharp weapons and went. I set out a bunch of pig intestines in front of the closet and shouted, holding a dagger in each hand.
The highest quality pork has arrived.
After a while, I heard the closet door open and saw it. That gigantic being. It began to eagerly tear into the pig intestines in front of it. But among the many faces that writhed around its body, I saw one familiar face. That was Joshua.
And it ends like that? That sucked. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed, and if so, why not leave a like on the video down below. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe, turn on the notification icon so you don't miss a single video that I upload. This one, that's all I got to say about it. So, gonna have probably do like a double upload today. So keep an eye out for a second video. Maybe not. I don't know. Remember, the Force will be with you always, and your destiny lies with me. Obi-Wan knew this to be true.